Welcome everyone who's joining today. My name is Yolanda. Welcome to this webinar on the BioTrade Journey, key challenges and lessons learned from trading BioTrade products. We're focusing today on Myanmar and Laos, so Southeast Asia. Let me just introduce myself first. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Yolanda. I work at Profound. We are at BioFach hosting 2 pavilions. One of them is the Organic Africa Pavilion with about 12 exhibitors, but we also have the BioTrade Asia Pavilion with 6 companies from Myanmar and Laos, so some which are joining us today. So if you haven't seen it yet, do check out that pavilion. And we're today kicking off the BioTrade Day, we call it. So every hour until 11, there's a session on BioTrade. So starting with the BioTrade Journey, where we have panelists from all different aspects of the journey, talking about their different perspectives. At 10, we have a session where we introduce all the exhibitors from our BioTrade Asia Pavilion. And then at 11, we'll have a session focusing more on BioTrade in country, some opportunities there. So today we are joined by 4 even panelists, 3 main ones, and then I also asked Samchai to join us as well. So these panelists all have their different perspective and their own experiences in dealing with BioTrade. So we have Lin, sorry Lin, I'm not pronouncing your last name correctly, Piai Thun from Power Marchand.
Yeah, just call me Lin. Yeah, Lin is okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Good. Lin from Power Marchand in Myanmar, who's producing tea and spices and coffee. We have Lutz Tunis from Chado, who is a tea trader, processor, brand, everything. And then we have Sa from Helvetas Myanmar, who's been working with all of us in the regional BioTrade project in Southeast Asia. And we also have Samchai from Helvetas Laos, who's also been working in the BioTrade project with all of us. I'll ask them to introduce in a little bit, and after that I have some questions that I'll ask the panelists. We also want to reserve some time for questions from you, so any questions that you have, please just put them in the chat box, and then we'll make sure we have some time at the end for that. But first I wanted to ask Lin, who is director of Power Marchand, if you could just introduce yourself and your company.
Yeah, thank you. Hi everyone, my name is Lin Piai Thun, and I'm director from Power Marchand company. And our company is founded since 1964 as a family-based business. And now we are in the 3rd generations. So first of all, it's an honor to be presenting in this webinar. It's not only about my company, and also I'm the secretary from Myanmar Tea Exporter and Producer Association. So today, I would like to representing not only my companies, also there's 4 other companies from Myanmar, which is teas and spices companies. Thank you.
Thank you, Lin. Lutz, can you introduce you? Lutz is the founder and one of the managing directors of Chado in Germany. Can you maybe introduce, your mic is still turned off, I think. Yes.
Okay, so my name is Lutz Tunis, and I'm, as Yolanda said, the founder of Chado Teehandels GmbH. We were established in 1993 as one of the first companies to trade exclusively organic tea. We started with a brand business for the organic German food markets, and then very soon came into cooperations with producers as the quality we were facing at that time was extremely bad. So a lot of the work actually in the past years has gone into developing sources for organic tea in India, Africa, China, in Vietnam, Laos, and now also in Myanmar. Yeah, so Yeah, we are a bulk trader and a brand producer.
Okay, thank you so much. Sa, who is working on value chain development with Helvetas Myanmar. Can you maybe quickly introduce yourself and Helvetas?
Hello and Minglava everyone. Good day to all participants. My name is Saw Meong. I work for Habitat Myanmar since 2016 as the value chain advisor. Before that, I worked for Ministry of Agriculture and Irrigation in the Union Ministry. So my background is agriculture and natural resources management. And since the beginning of Habitat's project for regional BioTrade Southeast Asia, I worked for export potential assessment with a technical and expertise backstopping of profound. So this webinar is really good to share our experience over the last 4 years. And also really, I myself really excited and interested to hear the questions and discussions and knowledge sharing from all the participants. So let's enjoy and make fruitful this webinar together. Thank you.
Thank you, Sa. Thank you for that kind introduction. So these are our panelists. As I mentioned, we also have Somchai. So maybe Somchai, if you can just very briefly introduce yourself. We'll mainly focus on Myanmar with Sa, Lin, and Lutz. But if there are any questions about Laos later, then maybe you can answer those. Your microphone is off, Somchai.
Thanks, Jolanda. Hello, everyone. My name is Somchai from Regional BioTrade Projects in Laos. I'm the project officer, value chains, and also responsible for market access programs. I work closely with both exporters in Laos and also connect or discuss with international buyers. So we have some experience and some knowledge that we can share regarding the buyer side and also local exporter side. So I also would like to learn and get some information from all participants, and also welcome any inquiries about Laos exporters and the situation of BioTrade on organic products in Laos.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Somchai. Okay, I have some questions prepared for Lin, Lutz, and Sa mainly. So I wanted to start with Lin and ask you if you could share more about your experience in exporting BioTrade products to Europe, and also why you see Europe as an interesting market for your products.
Well, okay, okay. So exporting, our BioTrade product to Europe is like, it's not very a smooth journey, but is it one of interesting because it needs strong commitment, and it's one of the inclusive models. So through our regional BioTrade project with the Helvetas organization, so there's a lot we learned. We learned a lot about the criteria of the BioTrade, and how to become familiar with the sustainable use of biodiversity, how to fair and equitable sharing benefit, and how to right use to assess natural resource. And also another one is when we after we participants of this project, it brought us a valuable opportunity to us, because we have more access to international market, know what is the customer preference to the Europe market, and also learn about the sustainable business model. So, and in the same time that we noticed that the Europe market has a very high demand of BioTrade product, because European peoples value the biodiversity, fairness, and organic product, and sustainability. So we believe that the European market can create a sustainable market platform for our product. So because we have we sourcing from more than 200 of our value chain tea farmers. So they're depending on us. So there's two main things that we have my responsibilities. One, we want to be a reliable supplier for our clients. Another one is we have to find the sustainable market source for our farmers. And I can tell there's a lot of BioTrade products in Myanmar are existing with a lot of anti-scallop products. So among them, our teas and spices comes up with a very beautiful story behind, and that's the point that you want to tell the world. Yeah.
About
yes. Another experience is like when we start step into the international market, like that we understand that our country is very far more behind in processing techniques, plantations, and international standardization of like hygienic, including labeling too. So there's like we have to learn a lot. So that's the time that we realized that producing aligned with the international organization standard, it takes times. It needs we have to keep continuous effort on it. Otherwise, like beside the farming community, so we have like our farmers realize that they have to be proactive thing in combating the effect of climate change, a lack of their lack of biodiversity, soil erosions, deforestation, which is already happening before their eyes. So the reward they are reaping now and it is very incredible. So, and for my company is like in 2017, like we became the first company to Europe with a EU standard organics or organic company from Southern State. And 2019, after our BioTrade project with Inhevates, we had known with childhood loot. So at the time we applied the Fair for Life certificate. So then our company became the first and ever certificate, fair trade certificate, Fair for Life certificate holder in Myanmar. So just like selling from just like we selling generic processed tea leaves, and my company has now developed many quite high quality and also differentiate with certified products are very attractive. And I think that we also one of the well positioned in the export market. So this all make possible because of we are working with our community involvement. So we are now enjoying good times, and that we I love to share this kind of my experience to everyone. Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much, Lynn. It's very, very interesting to hear, where you came from and what already I've seen already it happen with Farmershan, but it's really interesting to hear as well. So thank you. And you mentioned Lutz already, so this is a very nice bridge for me towards Lutz, because from Lynn we've heard from your experience in entering and reaching the European market. Lutz, of course, you are in the European market. So I also wanted to ask you, about your experience from the European side with the products and BioTrade products from Myanmar and Southeast Asia, and also what sort of sparked your interest in this region in the first place.
Yeah. Well, one of our actually main intentions is to create new sources for organic tea production. And so we are not so much into these mainstream things like Darjeeling, Assam, Kenya, or things like that. We have always looked at the more specialty, kind of origins, and well, definitely China is one of our largest suppliers, and but also there we have a project where we do a lot of things which are usually not produced in China, and so I think we were quite curious about when this opportunity came from Laos and with Myanmar. We were quite curious to see what opportunities are available over there. And so, well, some Chinese, the project at Laos is, which we started first, is doing quite well. There are a lot of logistic issues and things like that, which are not really working, or not really optimized yet, but that's okay for us. In Myanmar, the situation was quite different because there was tea, but the knowledge of tea was neither Chinese influence nor was it Europe or British influence. It was something like an in-between, and but I think the interesting thing about it is that people in Myanmar are extremely open-minded. And that was actually the nice thing about it. So it was not that, you go to a factory and then people will tell you what they've been doing for the last 200 years. They were keen on seeing what other options are available. And that is actually essential for us, is that we have this open-minded kind of partners. And so we tried out a lot of things in Lin Pierre's factory, and some came out well, some didn't work. But I think that it takes time, and we have the patience, because we're in this business now for more than 20 years and creating sources for organic tea. And we know that, especially in such countries, and from where it comes actually, or from where we start, we can't expect that in 2 or 3 years everything will be perfect. So, but I think we're on a good way, and we've made a lot of changes in the factory from Lin Pierre, and seeing that things are slowly going in the right direction.
So it takes time to develop.
It takes time, and you have to have the patience.
Yeah.
If you don't have the patience, don't start it.
Yeah. Well, from that side, also I wanted to ask Sa also about this similar aspect about, how has Myanmar developed in terms of BioTrade products over the last 4 years, since you've been in the BioTrade project since 2016. As Luz was saying, it takes time to develop. Lynn also mentioned, what sort of they have already accomplished. So I wanted to ask you, Sa, if you could share with us, so how have you seen the biotech sector develop in Myanmar in the last 4 years? And also, how have you seen companies develop within this project?
Thank you very much, Yolanda, for your very smooth and nice introduction for my session. Yeah, it is really relevant to link with Lynn and Mr. Lutz in the perspectives of the patients to develop the BioTrade sector and the companies in Myanmar. Because as you all know, the political history of Myanmar also really important to consider this. Since the, let's say, 19th century, independence from the British, since that time, the Myanmar until now stay struggling to have really inclusive business models among the private business companies. This is also the really important factor to develop these kind of inclusive business model, BioTrade business model, and also sustainable business models. When we started to introduce the terms BioTrade and the concept of its 7 principles and criteria to the Myanmar companies, meaning Myanmar companies are the leading one to come into sustainable international markets like Power Motion and many others. That is really important for our project team to link with the traditional knowledge of Myanmar people and Myanmar business companies to link with this really holistic but also innovative idea of BioTrade. Because Myanmar people originally conserve their neighborhood, their natural environment and natural resources, because since our grandparents, we have learned that we need to maintain our environment to have productive landscapes of agricultural production. So traditionally, we Myanmar farmers and the Myanmar agricultural business companies really knowledgeable in that. And then to penetrate into the international exporting markets, like especially Europe and America, the Myanmar agricultural business companies needed to follow the sustainability standards like organic, HACCP, fair trade, or fair for life, these kind of sustainability standards. Then we, the BioTrade project, needed to support them. What certificates is mainly required to them to enter into their target market? Because as you all know, the certification systems are really complicated to choose which one is the right for your company, business model, and for your target market. To achieve this sustainability with your ground level agricultural landscapes or productive landscapes. This is our main intention to achieve the 7 BioFach principles and criteria. You may already know about the 7 principles and criteria of BioTrade. So conservation of biodiversity, this is just our traditional knowledge already included and covered. And sustainable use of biodiversity, also the same with our heritage of conserving our neighborhood and environment. But now equitable sharing of benefits derived from the use of biodiversity, it is really something new. Because equitable sharing of benefits, meaning all the value chain actors along your production and manufacturing supply chains, then you need to consider every and each of value chain actors to achieve your sustainable business model. Then we need to support our business companies to cross-learning, to be cross-learning with other regional peer companies of sustainable business models. And the Profound also really supported us, stay supporting our project team and our business companies to learn these sustainable business models to achieve the market success and also to achieve the sustainability of the value chain actors and the business model. And also the number 4 principle, socio-economic sustainability, is also really important to cover all your value chain actors, the rights of the actors, because in Myanmar, the people are really used to make an organized association in the form of association. It is really unique in Myanmar. We all have, in all sectors, we have the sector associations like Myanmar Tea Association, Myanmar Tanaka Association, Myanmar Spices Association, Myanmar Cosmetic Association. These are really unique in Myanmar to lead the leading business companies to achieve the sector-wise development. That's why our project methodology of market system development is really aligned with this kind of association culture in Myanmar. But the main challenges is when we penetrate into the international market, we need to think about the market requirements and the requirements to fulfill the buyer's demand in time and really properly. This is really the biggest challenges because as I said in my beginning, Myanmar is really a long history of isolated from the rest of the world to achieve these kind of business sustainability and value chain approach and market system development approach. These are really something new to our business partners or business boundary companies. So Mr. Luz also mentioned that we need to be patient to have this kind of all sector-wise development. But We really have strong trust on our business companies or our current partners. They are really committed and they are really striving for the inclusive business model. They are trying to achieve all the sustainability standards and certifications in line with their market requirements. So I have really positive expectation to very near future. More and more crowding in efforts from the business companies to join with the sustainable business model from BioTrade principles and criteria. So in the rest, we would be answering the specific questions from the participants. Thank you.
Thank you, so it's already, because my next question would be for everyone to describe sort of challenges and main opportunities for BioTrade in Myanmar and Southeast Asia. But you've already answered several of those. So what's sort of the background of Myanmar and how that there are many opportunities in terms of biodiversity products, what developments have been already in terms of working with different business models, more inclusive businesses, but then there's still a disconnect sometimes with international markets, and that's, as Lutz was also mentioning, this takes time to be more aware of what is needed on the international market and be able to meet sort of these requirements. I also wanted to because you've already answered this question, Sal, but I wanted to maybe quickly ask Lynn and Lutz the same, what you see as sort of the main opportunities or challenges for the biotech sector in Myanmar, Southeast Asia, especially for the companies there. And then I also want to ask all our participants, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat box so that after we hear from Lynn and from Lutz, we have time to answer some of those. So Lynn, if you could just share, what do you think in your perspective are the main sort of opportunities or challenges for biotech products from Myanmar to enter the international market?
Yes, so your question is like there's like two main things, like opportunity and challenges for Myanmar products.
You can choose one also. If you say there's mainly opportunities or there's mainly challenges, you can also choose one of them.
Yes, okay. As far as I can think of it, like, you know, there would be like for the opportunity, we have like 4 points. So we believe that the opportunity that from Myanmar product to Europe market will be like, you know, if we can follow the, you know, rules and regulations of like, you know, standardization from the European markets. So Myanmar, we will be like, you know, more systematic and, you know, sustainable business model. Another one is like, you know, we will learn the fair and accession criteria through the, you know, certification process. And another one is like, you know, awareness for the conservations of natural ecosystems and the valuable natural resources. Another one is like, another opportunity will be like, maybe we get more benefit, you know, for our companies, not only for our company, also for our community too. That will be like an opportunity. So for the challenges, there will be like, okay, the challenge they are high competition. There will be high competitions. And also another one would be like, you know, well, you know, the Myanmar conditions and European market conditions, that we have like a lot of like strict criteria. So another one is like, okay, cost of voluntary standards, like, you know, certification fee. This will be like our challenges too, you know, because like, you know, there are a lot of like voluntary standards, like, you know, fair trade, fair for life, and kosher, organic certificate. There's a lot of voluntary standards. There will be like our challenges too. So we have to find more labor market so we can find the, you know, because the different buyer have a different kind of needs. And another one is like, you know, one buyer to another is like, it takes time for trust building. So, you know, none of our buyer want to buy, like, you know, starting from this year, next year, like it won't be like that much smooth. So, you know, it takes time for trust building. So another one is like, you know, and locally, you know, because like, you know, we're dealing with different communities. So the different community have their own kind of cultures and beliefs. So those are my opportunity challenges. Yeah. Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Lynn. Lutz, do you have anything to add, or do you agree with what Lynn was mentioning?
Well, one of the challenges actually is that everything is very small scale in Myanmar, and that is something where I think in future we'll have to find solutions for. Because looking at our company, I mean, it's very difficult for us to handle projects which have a capacity below 50 tons. Because we have to, the way we work, we will travel there, we will travel every year. I mean, alone, these expenses have to be compensated somehow. It's very difficult to compensate that with one container of tea. So that is one of the challenges. Maybe that on a long run, we will have to create something like cooperatives where a certain amount of buyers join in, which is also for the education of the buyers helpful, is that we can sort of make education programs in organic agriculture for a bigger group. I think these are, and then naturally the factories are very small. I mean, Lindpier's factory is a little bit bigger, but the other factories are so dramatically small that it's not possible to produce any standards which are suitable for the European markets. I mean, that was the first trip we made in Myanmar. I was getting very desperate after seeing 4 or 5 sheds which were supposed to be a factory. And I was trying to imagine how we could produce something in these factories, produce something which is workable. I mean, they were producing 80 kilos of tea a day. I mean, that's nothing. I think that is something we have to look at in the next future, is that sort of getting groups together which sort of can help each other also, because I mean, they need the machines and the machines are not that expensive, but you have to have the space, and maybe it could make sense to place the machines in one factory and the other factories bring the raw materials to this factory and process it over there, instead of buying the same machine, also buying the same machine. So a lot of these things, the structures also have to be changed to make this a workable setup.
Good point. And I don't see any questions from the audience yet, but I do have some questions myself. I think actually one of them would be a really good follow-up on what you were saying, Lutz. So, you know, talking about volumes and some of the challenges that companies face, what would your advice be to exporters in Myanmar to overcome this?
Yeah, well, first of all, you have to identify the market, and then, I mean, also the European market is not one kind of unique kind of market. There are the big players like Unilever and Finlays and whatever, who buy large volumes of standardized tea bag cut. So the main business actually is tea bag cut. They are buying at prices which are not workable for Myanmar. It's just impossible. I mean, you're talking about $1.60, $1.80. If you are good, or if you are happy, then you get $2.50 maybe. I can't see that really working in this kind of small scale farming. And so those are markets you can actually forget. So the decision actually to go for the organic market, that was a wise decision. But also in this market, there are certain requirements which you have to follow. And that is something which is very difficult to get a clear picture from Myanmar. I mean, it's close to impossible, actually. And that is the way we understand also our part in this is that we transport these market information to the suppliers and enable them to create a setup which will in the end work. Mm-hmm. I mean, we have a project in Vietnam which is extremely successful for 14 years now, which is also a smallholder project. It's Hmong tribes collecting tea leaves in the forest. And so also that can work because we've set up our own factory. Actually, there was no factory. They were all producing in walks at home, and it was very smoky, and it was very bitter, and it was completely unsuitable for Western markets. But then we found somebody who was willing to invest into a small factory, and we set up the standards. And ever since then, actually, it's been working well with proper prices, and in our system, where we always give a forecast every year and try to sort of slowly grow, this works. But it won't work in a free market, you know, where you just produce something and you throw it into the market and you say, this is tea from Myanmar, you want to buy it? Yeah. You won't get a response. That's it. So, so I think this close kind of linking up is something which is absolutely essential.
Yeah. Lynn or Saw, this from your side in Myanmar, do you want to add on what Lutz was saying on finding the right sort of market segments, I would call it, to for the products?
For us, for me, like, you know, I hope to secure more promising for the future. Like Luz said, you know, well, for our company, yeah, you're right. Like we need more, like, you know, we need to be like scale up our people, you know, people from our employees and also our farmers. And therefore, like we have to be like, you know, forward looking and, you know, attending new things. So we can give them the opportunity. So another one is like the awareness of like, you know, organic and BioTrade products to be like, you know, not only our, you know, people from Myanmar and also like, you know, our farmers too. So we need to keep continuous like training and awareness for knowledge sharing for our people. Another one is like, you know, as a result, like, you know, Myanmar people will be like, you know, the value, they will know the value of BioTrade and organic products. So, you know, then they can be like interest into to produce this BioTrade products. So that's why we like, you know, there's like a lot of undiscovered product, the BioTrade product in Myanmar. So, you know, we wanted the world to know the number of BioTrade product could be like, you know, able to export to Europe market will be increased in the next 10 years. So that will be like, I'm expecting. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. And so from your experience also in Myanmar, working with these companies, working with these products, and, you know, also from what Lutz was saying and from what Lynn was saying, what do you think is sort of the best strategy to help companies to reach the right scale, find the right markets, to get the right certifications? What is the role of Helvetas in that regard?
Yes, I really would like to agree with Mr. Lutz's points of really small scale in Myanmar. This is still widespread tradition in all the crops, in all the agriculture crops in Myanmar. In my background picture, you can see the upper right corner. These are tea trees. Tea trees. They look small, but they are really old. Tea trees in Myanmar are not like in other tea growing countries. They are really like bushes sparse in all over the landscape. That's why really less protective in terms of per land acreage. That's why now Power Motion or any other tea companies, they really need to organize the smallholder tea farmers, hundreds of tea farmers, to be really productive in terms of per acre land and per trees. And for that, another important requirement from the other side is the market demand, because in the past time, the tea farmers are just traditionally like a family business, just harvesting and not much frequently, and then they just process at their home premises to send to the local market. Mm-hmm. And just the middlemen or brokers, they collect the tea and they pack and resell into the wholesale or retail markets. Now, the companies like PowerMotion are trying to organize all smallholder farmers around their sourcing area or around their factory areas to organize in organic principles or in fair for life principles to work together to be more productive and to be more organized, and also the quality to be improved. That's why, as Mr. Luz recommend, cooperative and also the education is really important as the first priorities. Cooperativeness and education to the local farmers in an organized small groups of organic or fair for life farmers. Now, PowerMotion is trying to achieve that. That's why, if the tea leaves are more frequently picked or more frequently harvested, the leaves would be more productive. And then, if the market can be successful with the achievement of the companies with the required certification and standards, and also, of course, the required quality specifications, then the market demand will drive all the farmers to try their best to invest in their lands to be more productive, and they will also be more organized with the close support of the companies like PowerMotion. So in our project interventions, also we are trying to support the companies. The starting point is the company to be able to organize their supplier farmers in the really organized and educated form of sustainability standards and quality improvement practices. That's why we need time to achieve to be F. So yeah, finally the time and the patience and the efforts in cooperative manner. Yeah.
I think this is something that I also, looking at time, I think it would be good to wrap up in a couple minutes, because we have another session at 10 already. But from what I'm hearing from all of you, there is potential in Myanmar for sure, but indeed it takes time and effort to organize the sector, to organize companies, to be able to work together, reach a higher scale of production in order to sort of standardize the quality also of the products, but also getting sort of the right markets and working with companies like Chado to really have a good connection of in Myanmar to the right buyers as well is very important. I wanted to close it off, but well, in closing it off, I wanted to ask all three of you in like a sentence or two, so very short, what you hope for the BioTrade sector in Myanmar or the tea sector in Myanmar to achieve in the next 10 years. So where do you hope in 10 years that the sector will be? Lynn, let me start with you.
I think like that question is already finished. Like because like I just like answered recently, like in 10 years, like we have to be like our BioTrade product from Myanmar will be like people need to be more awareness of it, and people will be keep training on it and scale up the farmers and scale up our employees, and at the same time people will be like well known the BioTrade product and how can we do this, and because like we already seeing right now, because some of the farmers like because of the deforestations they already facing the problem. So if they have more this kind of knowledge, they will preserve our environment. Mm-hmm. And then the next 10 years we'll be ready, farmer side ready, and the processing side ready, And I think that that's the for everyone will be ready in next 10 years for producing like BioTrade products and exporting to the European countries. Yes, thank you.
I hope so too. Lutz, from your side.
Okay, well, I'm quite positive that with the mindset of the people in Myanmar, in 10 years we will have nice factories which produce good standards of tea in a very professional way, and I think also the farmers will have a good education level of organic agriculture, I think, I mean, it's going to be, the challenge on our side is going to be to make the people aware that there is tea from Myanmar on the one hand, and then convince them that this is a good product and it's worthwhile buying it. But there I don't actually see big problems. I think that, yeah, with the right mindset, this is going to work.
So, what would you like to add to that?
I'm really encouraged to hear Mr. Lutz comments. Yeah, I'm also really positive to see in the next 10 years, we all the Myanmar agricultural business companies will be developed in terms of quality and productivity and also sustainability practices. Because as international buyers like Mr. Lutz, they already knew that Myanmar has a lot of potential to expand more agricultural lands. Millions of hectares of lands stay available for agriculture if the land management policy is properly administered. So the biodiversity resource also stay flourished in Myanmar, especially in the mountain areas and ethnic areas. It's really good for tea and other mountain crops. And that's why if pioneer BioTrade companies like PowerMotion and other their counterparts, with the support of, especially with the importers from developed countries like Mr. Lutz company Chado, and if I would say whatever the political system in Myanmar, like current situation, the other side of the real situation in the agricultural value chains are still promising for welcoming the investments or buyers from the developed markets, because the farmers and the agricultural business companies are really committed and honest to develop with their best efforts. That's why I myself really would like to support the spread of the goodness of Myanmar tea or Myanmar other BioTrade products among the international market in terms of sustainability, in terms of potential for future expansion, in terms of also exciting stories and beautiful cultural scenarios behind the product. Because nowadays, the customers all over the world, they are really boring to consume ordinary products. They're really looking for exciting and value creating products. That's why these kind of importers or buyers from the developed market would be really interesting to source from Myanmar if we could link properly with the sustainable business companies like Motion or whatever in current project of our BioTrade project. So I also really positive like Mr. Lutz. Thank you.
Good, thank you. Thank you all. It's good to leave the session on such a positive note. So thank you all for your time and for your inputs, and for everyone who's listening, but also for the panelists.